Welcome into this week's edition of the Beaver Sports Radio Show. My name is Mitchell Monge, joined by Matt Volman and Soren Carr. Guys, how's it going today?
You know what? Just living life, dude. Keeping it 100 at all times.
It's sunny outside.
Good observation.
Thank you.
I'm photosynthesizing right now.
Jeez, all right. Well, we got a lot coming up this week. Of course, Oregon State football. They started their spring football. First of 15 practices was yesterday. No pads practice, just getting out there, getting loose with the boys. You know, always a good time. Oregon State men's basketball. They've got 2 home games this week, and Soren and I will be calling the game tomorrow, Thursday against Stanford. That game will be at 6 o'clock p.m. from Gill Coliseum. Matt and I got the game on Saturday. It's going to be senior day, 1:30 against Cal.
It's going to be a lot of not a dry eye in the building as Trace walks out with his dad. That's going to be weird. I would not I would not be surprised if Wayne cried a little bit.
I mean, this is the last of his kids to graduate college. I mean,
yeah.
Especially, always had Jocelyn and Ellie Tinkle to
it's going to be
Stanford,
weird.
Gonzaga, now.
Do you know what they're doing? I mean, they're at every game. I'm impressed by.
They're just cheering on Trace.
I think their dad secured the bag.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And then we got women's basketball. Pac-12 tournament, that kicks off tomorrow. Oregon State, the 6th seed, will face off against number 11. Washington State, that'll be at 5:30 from beautiful Las Vegas.
They got Stanford.
Yeah.
I like that.
Winner will play number 3 Stanford. Also on that side of the brackets, number 2 UCLA. So again, kind of to the Beavers' benefit. They don't have to run into Oregon until potentially the championship game.
Which would be a great championship game.
It would. A little rivalry action there. The championship game will be on ESPN2. Rest of the games you can catch on Pac-12 Network. But first, with this week's sports breakdown, Soren Carr. Let's go.
Curious Soren here. Ready for the sports breakdown. First of all, we have men's golf. Women's were off this week. The Beavers men's golf team finished in a tie for 11th place. Not a steady week for them at the Prestige in Palm Desert, California. Jackson Lake and Spencer Tibbetts led the team with totals of 212 in the 3 rounds of play. Good enough for 4 under par.
Prestige worldwide.
You can't help but not think that. Like, seriously, when I say that, I obviously...
Worldwide, wide.
Yeah. So, baseball. Oregon State men's baseball team sits at 5-6 on the season with a 2-game losing streak in the bag, exchanging 2 straight wins first and then 2 losses down in San Diego against SDSU. They finally head home after this road stretch to host UC Santa Barbara. For the gymnastics women, they moved up after losing actually this week narrowly to number 3 UCLA. They're now the number 14 team in the nation. This week, they host again at Gill Coliseum on Friday at 7 p.m. against number 12 Washington. Big matchup. Cheer on the gymnastics team. They're about the best team we got right now in the school, besides the Oregon State women's basketball team, but stellar job by them. The wrestling team, they are currently in Palo Alto for the Pac-12 Wrestling Championships and the Altered Pac-12 Conference, as some of you know, including schools such as Arizona State, Cal Poly, CSU Bakersfield, Little Rock, and Stanford. For the women's basketball team, the number 14 team in the nation now swept this past week's home games against Washington, 75-61. I got the better of that prediction. And also home to Washington State, as Volman got the best of that prediction, 73-58. Yes. They go into the Pac-12 Women's Tournament as the 6th seed, as mentioned by Mitch, tomorrow night against Washington State at 8:30 p.m. Shout out to Michaela Pivick and Destiny Slocum, both earning all Pac-12 media honors, while the press selected Taylor Jones to the all-freshman and all-defensive team list. For the Beavers men's basketball... Dun, dun, dun.
I like that.
They had a short week this past week, playing Oregon in the Civil War, as I had the privilege of driving down Jade, Mitch, and Matt as they covered the game. Did a fantastic job as usual. However, the Beavers did not, losing 69-54 to the now 13th-ranked Ducks in the country, the only ranked team in the Pac-12 for men's basketball, They closed out the regular season just as they about closed out their NCAA tournament chances with their convincing loss to Oregon.
They still got the Pac-12 tourney.
Yeah, but we're
so you're
looking
saying
realistically.
there's a chance.
We are. We really are. I mean, I'm going to be the optimistic one as usual. I feel like this week. They now host Stanford, though. Winners of 5 in a row in Pac-12 play. Thursday night at 6 p.m. Mitch and I got the call on that one. And also Saturday night in the home finale, as mentioned for Trace Tinkle, this will be an emotional one. This will be a very interesting game as they lost a close one down in Berkeley. But that's the last one of the season. And that's a wrap for the weekly updates of sports.
Got some breaking news.
Yes.
Steph Curry cleared. Will return tomorrow against the Raptors for the Warriors.
Are you serious?
Yep.
My goodness.
Oh, the NBA's
Aren't you
back.
so excited?
NBA's back.
Best player in the league.
Best player in the league. Want to go there?
Facts. It's really cool how he decided to let everyone else have a chance this year.
Yeah, I decided to let Giannis play around.
Take a year
little.
off, yeah. Give an MVP to that young Greek boy.
I'm not going to lie. I do miss a good Warriors team. I do really.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
Best player right now, Juan Toscano Anderson, JTA, the man.
Michael Mulder.
Michael Mulder.
Marquise Chris.
I couldn't name you half of the roster right now. Maybe even a quarter.
I would be disgusted
Yeah.
if you could.
They
Genuinely.
beat the Nuggets last night by 16 with
I saw that.
9 active players, 3 guys on 2 ways, 3 rookies, and 2 guys on converted 2 ways, and Andrew Wiggins.
They just
Wiggins is
outsmart.
Blazers need Dame back.
You don't say.
Michaela Pivic was named the Pac-12 Scholar Athlete of the Year. 3.93 cumulative GPA as an
That's
undergrad.
awesome.
Earned her degree in 3 years in biohealth sciences and is currently working towards her master's in biophysics and biochem.
Gross. That is a lot of hard stuff, dude. I mean, I've taken.
You're taking some of those classes, huh?
I've taken biochem. Anyone who masters in that is either really smart or a psychopath. I think she's the
Mix of both.
I think she's the former off the court and on the court. She's a little psychotic because it's the way she plays. I mean, she just goes
Hard
hard.
worker,
She's
too.
a hard worker. Yeah, like
First team all defense and all Pac-12.
Yeah, that's,
again.
count the rings.
Mentioned Oregon State baseball. They've lost, a couple games recently, but they're getting a new video board. New video board design will be unveiled at Goss Stadium on Friday. Fans can expect more stats and information on each batter as they come to the plate.
Is it the Pat Casey video board?
I couldn't tell you that, but I'm going to say I doubt it.
What it was?
Yeah, what if it was?
It'd be cool.
We'll look
though.
it up.
Former Beaver wrestler Amar Desi, 3-time NCAA All-Heavyweight champion, will be participating for Canada in the 2020 Pan American Olympic Qualification Tournament. If he gets first or second, he will represent Canada in the Summer Games.
Wow.
Desi was a really good heavyweight, went to, multiple of the NCAA tourneys, and he was just incredible. And then future OSU gymnast Jade Carey from Phoenix won a pair of gold medals 2 weeks ago in Australia in the Melbourne Cup. And she leads the World Cup rankings in vault and floor. So, again, we mentioned it already. Spring football practice began March 3rd. The Pro Day will be March 11th at Truax Indoor Center. Most of the NFL teams are going to be represented for a combine-like event. I was reading an article on the Athletic yesterday by Bruce Feldman. Said a couple NFL teams are really high on a potential late-round QB sleeper. Oregon State's Jake Luton.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard he threw really well at the combine.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know about his measurables. He had huge hands. He's 6'7", got pretty good pocket presence. One of the knocks on him is that he, kind of folds a little bit under pressure. But at the same time, he's got the size, reads, the touchdown to interception ratio is great. I mean, he's going to be I think he's going to be a day 3 selection, probably late 6th, 7th round, but still.
I think you're right, and I think that they like. I saw something someone was discussing. They like that he had a future NFL receiver in Hodgins to pass to quite a bit, and
Right,
their
yeah,
chemistry especially.
But that's one of the knocks on him too, is that he went to Hodgins almost too much.
Sorry, he's open.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
His catch radius
Just
is the size of the
burning.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad, bro.
Hodgins ran a 4.6 140 at the combine. I mean, I think his vertical was 36. His measurables weren't through the roof, but at the same time, I saw some of the highlights from it. He had some really nice catches. There was one of them where they set up the end zone marker and, throwing the end zone fades and beautiful corner toe tap. I mean, just incredible. He's definitely going to get drafted. I know he didn't help himself at the combine. It's such a wide receiver deep draft, especially with the speed. He put up only 9 sets on the bench. So, when you want a red zone receiver, you want somebody that's probably a little bit stronger. He's got the height, but his hands are really, really good. That's something you don't get
Really good.
for a lot of the guys coming out of college, the ability to concentrate and make the big time catches. So, I think Hodgins right now is trending towards a day 3 type guy, probably going to be,
Picked up by the
I'd
Pats.
say late 5, early 6. That
Get
would be my
Garoppolo
guess.
passing him in the future here.
Well, that would be on the Niners.
Well, I mean,
What are you
this
saying?
might be a Brady Garoppolo switch up here.
Brady back in the
That's-
gorgeous.
That's
Bay
not a
Area.
real thing.
Whatever.
Could be
No.
from some reliable sources here.
Yeah, I got dudes. in
Last
my
time
area.
you started talking about your reliable sources,
The
you got the
inquisitive
nickname
man.
Curious Soren. Anyways, men's basketball team. Go ahead and just dive into that. We'll start with and then we can talk a little bit of women's basketball later. But the men's basketball team, they host Stanford Thursday at 6 p.m., Cal Saturday at 1:30. Both games will be on the Pac-12 network. OSU won the earlier matchup against Stanford this year, and they are looking for their first season sweep of the Cardinal since the 2008-09 season. We'll start with Matt, but I want Soren's take as well. What does Oregon State have to do to sweep the Cardinal for the first time since 08-09?
When you beat a team on the road before you play them at home, that's an absolutely monster advantage. It's a really big confidence booster. Stanford really did not play that well against Oregon State when they matched up the first time. And I think for Oregon State, key to this game is going to be to have a couple guys get going that have been going recently. Kyler has not played his best ball. He looked absolutely horrendous down in Eugene. I don't know what it was. He switched his jersey number. That didn't help. He really was looking sluggish and slow there. Had a dismal performance. I think it's time for him to get back on track. Stanford really does not have the size to match up with him on either side of the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if he had another 4 or 5 block game. And I think Oregon State needs to look at him when he's cutting down the lane. If you watch the game film against Oregon, he was wide open all day on these little pick and rolls. They really weren't guarding him. And all you have to do is throw the ball to the top of that square on the backboard, and he's going to come down and dunk it. I think Kyle's going to have a big game. And then I think last 2 games of the season, those seniors, need to step it up. Trace got to step it up. He really did not look all that great. He's 4 points away from taking the all-time scoring record in school history, which is pretty crazy to think about.
A little surreal.
Yeah, it's a little surreal.
Soren, you wrote an article about that earlier, didn't you? About Trace Tinkle's, his
Legacy.
legacy as an Oregon State
The difference
player.
between the legacy that I'm thinking of, my article, I was trying to narrow down maybe not as much of a great as a statistical monster for the school. And when you look back at stats, obviously you're going to see all-time scoring leader Trace Tinkle. You could consider him in that boat, but I got some steady criticism from some older members of the community, especially diehard Beaver fans, who were disappointed in his recent efforts. Understandably so, but honestly, I was going to ask you guys after I give you my take on Stanford, what you think about Tinkle's legacy overall.
Well,
But
if he gets nominated a first team All Pac-12 this year, which seems likely, not a lock like it was the past couple years, seems likely. That'll be 3 state first team All Pac-12s. I mean, that's impressive nonetheless.
And an impressive freshman season before that injury as well.
Right, exactly. He's missed some time with injury. He did have 5 years at Oregon State, but I don't know. It depends. You got to give him credit. You know, obviously, I think the best the best player for Oregon State to come through without question is Gary Payton. I mean, when you look at him head to head. But in terms of just what they've done for Oregon State, you got to put Trace near the
Somewhere
top
up
of that
there.
list.
Yeah, it's difficult to compare him to a lot of those early 80s players like Charlie Sitton and some of those players, but
Game's changed.
it's just exactly it's the comparison of LeBron to MJ in a way, obviously not the same situation, but different games, different times. But overall, I think that the Beavers will need to have some big member off the bench in the Stanford game, as they did in Jared Lucas last time, going off from the 3-point range. But otherwise, I expect a big game by Tinkle and Thompson. And Kelly, I honestly see showing some offensive improvements, but someone off the bench coming in hot.
They're going to have to slow down Oscar Da Silva. He leads the team with 16.1 points per game. That's 10th in the conference. And he holds the 18th best national mark in field goal percentage. He's shooting 58.8% from the floor. He was the Pac-12 Player of the Week for the end of January. And then Stanford has held 12 of its 13 non-conference opponents below 70 points and has limited their Pac-12 opponents to an average of just 64.1 points per game. That's best in the Pac-12. So they boast the best overall scoring defense in the Pac-12, 10th best nationally. That's 61.7. And as of March 3rd, KenPom rates the Cardinal defense 6th most efficient in the country. So this is a team that they're going to have to get the offense going against. It's not one of those where you're going to be able to score 47, 50 points, one of those really low scoring margins like the Beavers have had in several games recently. they're going to have a really efficient offensive night.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them to do.
Right.
They've really recently laid some eggs. I mean, 47 against Colorado in Corvallis, 55 against USC in Corvallis, 58 against UCLA in Corvallis. The problem with the Beavers is their offense is just never consistent.
Right.
Part of that's due to just rotation variance, and I think a lot of players on the team really don't know going into the game what their role will be that day, other than I'd say Trace, Ethan, and Kyler. And I think that leads. It's hard to just come into a game where you might not be expecting to play and just play 20 minutes and try to get in the flow of the offense.
Well, how does that affect your mindset going into it?
It's surprising. I mean, from my experience, when you're not ready to play and you just get thrown in the fire and everyone's already warmed up and you're just like, man, I was warming up 30 minutes ago, I'm all cold again. It takes a minute to get in and get used to it. And I think that's one of the reasons why our team's been so consistent this year. Is I think a lot of guys really don't know their role on the roster. On good teams, everyone knows what they're supposed to do. We have that in Oregon State. Kyler, block shots, rebound, dunk. Trace, facilitate, run the offense. Ethan doesn't even really know at this point, I think. But it's just hard when you don't know what the coaches are expecting of you to really get it going. I think that's been a problem all year.
Yeah, and to your point about that, relating to your criticism of their Princeton offense, basketball is such a rhythm sport. Even in terms of game stretches, streakiness, shooting, whether it's in the game or within a stretch of them. And when you don't ever have an offense that's really clicking, that's obviously going to affect your psyche, and you're just going to struggle overall as a team. And they've proven that at many points this season. But when they have gotten going, it's looked pretty good.
Right. So one of the parts that we mentioned last week, we were kind of going over our potential Pac-12, Pac-12 Player of the Year, Pac-12 Coach of the Year, the awards for the Pac-12. And we talked about Kyler Kelly a little bit as potential DPOY candidate. And then, Matt, you brought up the fact that he was a non-factor again against Oregon.
He wasn't just a non-factor. He was a net negative. Oregon got 16 offensive rebounds. During the game, and I'm sure he was on the floor for 12 of them. The first half alone, they had, 8 or 9 in the first 6 minutes. It was really just a weird showing from him. A part of it is he lacks a little bit of discipline on the glass. He doesn't box out very well. He kind of relies on just being an absolute monster and just having, just wings for arms. The dude is lanky. And I think that's one of his main issues is he really doesn't use his body as much, contacting other players as much. He kind of relies on him just jumping to get him.
Right.
And I think that's one of his main issues is he really doesn't like getting physical. And that's what's going to be when he's, going through the combine for going to the league and stuff. That's going to be their biggest thing about him is dude, you're going to get trucked by all these NBA dudes. All these NBA dudes are built like Greek gods.
He is too, but he's just not
he's
that
not
experienced or strong. Yeah, you're right.
These dudes, he'll be playing against a guy who's, see Joel Embiid. If you put Joel Embiid next to Kyler Kelly, he would look like a little boy.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid has 50, 60 pounds of muscle on him, and that's just not going to fly. And that was his biggest issue all year was we played teams with big dudes, and he would just get back down in the post, and it's like, man, he's got to get more physical in there, man.
Well, that's been his issue, throughout college. Coming up from, is it Lane and then Northwest Christian?
Right.
He's just developed, and he has so much potential and talent, but how much he's grown within these years is truly impressive, I believe. But
100%.
At the same time, if he finds a G League team or something that he finds some success on, develops gradually, gets some strength up and some more basketball IQ, I feel like he really has a chance to develop as a quality player, maybe off the bench in the league, honestly.
100%. He's got the athletic talent, the vertical, the speed. He's really fast for a 7-footer.
Seriously.
Just that he should have been eating local boys 3 times a day while he was in Corvallis to put on some weight, man.
Well, you got to credit not only Wayne Tinkle, but also Kerry Rupp for his development assistant coach. He's the guy who's working with those bigs a lot.
Yeah.
And he did a similar thing with Drew Eubanks. Eubanks a little bit undersized, able to develop him into more of a physical presence. And now that the past couple of days with no Jacob Poeltl and no LaMarcus Aldridge, Eubanks has gotten back-to-back starts for the Spurs. So credit to him for sticking around and getting some starts on his 2-way deal with San Antonio.
With the Tim Duncan win there as a head coach.
Right, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
And how much does that have to help Drew's just confidence and development? If you're getting to learn from Tim Duncan, one of the best big men to play the game, that's got to just be huge for him.
That's really cool.
For sure. Pretty sick. It is absolutely insane to just be able to go up to the big fundamental and be like, help me with my drop step. That is something I'm envious of. But back to Kelly Rupp, what he has done here with turning these big men into serviceable post players is incredible. Drew Eubanks, when I first came here, he was kind of, just typical kind of a stiff, to be blunt. He could dunk. And that was about it on offense. And he turned into having these nice baby hooks. He had a bit of touch. He knew how to use the shoulder fakes, knew how to use up fakes. Kyler Kelly last year posting up was a sight for sore eyes. It was not fun. Dude looked like a baby giraffe learning how to walk. And this year he's out here throwing smooth hooks over both shoulders. He's got the lefty touch a little bit better down. I've seen him hit some fadeaway baseline hook shots, which are really hard to do. They look easy. Those are really hard to do, especially with the dude in your face. He's been hitting them at a pretty decent clip. His footwork is so much better. He actually looks like he knows what he's doing in the post instead of just, fumbling around a little bit. And he really does a good job of not turning it over in the post as well. He used to turn over a lot last year when he'd force it. This year, he's done a much better job of keeping the ball up. One dribble, left to right shoulder, go up. And it's been nice to see.
So then is that something, when he has those off nights, especially like he did against Oregon, is that something that is mental? Is that him? Or is it something that opponents have figured out that, A, they have to be more physical with him down low and they're making adjustments? Or, from my opinion, it seems like it's a little bit of a little combination of both. But at the same time, I'm wondering, where his confidence level is at, just given from the games that you see where it's like sometimes he's there and he's, just completely dominating, affecting shots, doing everything what seems to be just dominating the post, essentially, just cleaning the glass, put up 4 blocks in a game, affecting people, and then other teams want to stop driving because they know Kyler's there. Yeah. And then there's other games where it's like you can just hit him with a head fake and he goes flying by you, and the discipline and mental health game seems to kind of just disappear at times, and it's interesting.
It's the classic big man conundrum, and here it is. As someone who played center, there is nothing more annoying than running up and down the court for 5 minutes straight and not getting a single touch. And I think that happens a lot in the Beavers offense. And Kyler was wide open a ridiculous amount because a lot of teams
just running the floor. He's fast getting down the floor.
He gets down there before
anyone. It's not even
anyone.
just the fast
really
break,
does.
man. They'll be running the floor of their offense. They'll be running the Princeton. He'll get a slip. He'll be wide open, and someone will just be pounding the rock with their head down.
That's just been printed into his memory.
And that is just the most infuriating thing when you have a nice deep seal or you're on a cut and you're wide open, and especially if you're Kyler, you're 7 feet tall. Give me the ball. I'm dunking this, guaranteed. There's nothing more infuriating, and I think a lot of times it just frustrates him, and he gets a little down on himself, and that leads to just more lapses, and it just tumbles, and then you're just in the pits. And I think, like, again, the Oregon game, I think he got really down on himself early because they kept just getting all these loose balls and rebounds, and he knows it's, a lot of it is his fault for not boxing out. I think a lot of it was just he got down on himself really early, and that was just a really hostile atmosphere, and the Beavers really just came out a little shell-shocked as a team.
Yeah, exactly. But so to my point again about him being a young player, getting affected like in his psyche, like mentally, it's just, if you have a bad game like that and you let it get to you, it's just going to be a downhill slope from there. It's going to snowball on and on. And he is still young, like mentally.
Right.
Like,
even though he's a senior, this is only his second year playing Division I basketball.
He has a lot of room to develop, but as we know, he has all the pieces there of the puzzle. He just needs to find a way to put them together. And it could be a longer road than he's expecting to, but from this rate, from how late he started in basketball, taking it this seriously and being told probably that you can do this, you have the ability to, it's impressive still for what he's able to.
And you'd look at guys from Oregon, Chris Boucher, Kenny Wooten, those guys also, good shot blockers in the Pac-12, got looks. And Boucher's now getting a lot of run with the Raptors, but they also started in the G League. And Kenny Wooten kind of didn't pan out as much. More Boucher, again, him and Jordan Bell kind of came to the Warriors and developed in their system and then went elsewhere. Jordan Bell recently just got cut by the Grizzlies.
Jordan Bell is done in the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's a physical, he's
a physical marvel.
His physical traits are through the roof.
The head
at the same time,
he's a typical Oregon guy. Not much in the head.
So,
a little lacking in their brain space. No, Kyler's a better shot of making the NBA through the G League than any of those guys but Boucher. And that's just because the Raptors run their G League super well, and Boucher is an absolute monstrous athlete, and all they ask him to do is play defense and guard the wing.
As he's shown in that Giannis highlight.
Yeah. Other than getting baptized. That was ridiculous. Giannis is not of this planet, though. Dude definitely came from an asteroid.
Well, no, he blocked him too.
Oh no,
Boucher, Boucher got him too, back to back.
Yeah. No, Boucher that kid's a stud. He's just a freak athlete, and he's got between the years is going for him.
You got to wonder what that team could have done if he was healthy.
No, 100%.
Go ahead and switch gears a little bit. Go on to women's basketball again. Men's Thursday, 6:00 at home against Stanford. You can catch the game on Pac-12 Networks or right here on KBVR Corvallis. It'll be myself and Soren Carr on the call. Then Saturday, 1:30, Senior Day. At home, men host California, a team that they lost to on the road earlier, looking to get revenge. It's a battle of the Kellys. Andre Kelly for Cal, Kyler Kelly for Oregon State. They got into it a little bit last time down in Berkeley. See if that feud, the fire's still there. If Kyler wants to get a little bit more revenge and try to get one back, especially on Senior Day, and try to lock up the Pac-12 tournament again. That'll start for the men. It'll be March 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th from Las Vegas, Nevada. That'll be on Pac-12 Networks and FS1.
All right, predictions. These two games.
All right, while we're here.
Got to get them in.
All right, I'm going to say Stanford. I'm going to go with Stanford 65-62. And I'm going to go with Cal. I'm going to pick Oregon State 70-58.
All right, Stanford. I think we lose to Stanford 60-52. Cal, this is tough. I think the magic of Senior Day will propel us, and I think we're going to win 64-63.
64-63. All right, I got Stanford winning 65-63.
Do we all just pick Stanford?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you?
I think it's a fair bet. They've won 5 in a row too.
Oh, they're hot, and
so I think Oregon State's going to come out and play out of their minds, win a couple games in the Pac-12 tournaments too, but they're going to beat Cal 71-58.
The Senior Day boost.
Yep. I think it was going to shoot or score like 30. Just shoot a ton.
I can see him going for like 15, 15, and 10.
All right, that's probably
really quickly. I just want to give a shout out to UCLA and Mick Cronin. Talk about the hottest team in the Pac-12. Currently, they have a half game lead on Oregon for first place. This was a team that struggled in the preseason. And Matt likes to call them the Mixter.
The Mick, baby.
Like getting it together. South Ohio product.
Luck of the Irish. No, that shows you how far coaching can take you, man. That's plain and simple. In college basketball, I mean, the NBA coaching, I'm going to be honest, doesn't matter. But
now with all the resources.
And how good these dudes are. I mean, as long as you can keep these dudes from punching each other in the face in the locker room, you're chilling.
Shout out Steve Kerr.
Yeah, Steve Kerr's great at that. But in the college game, these dudes really still don't have that 100% feel of the game yet. And Mick Cronin is just a fantastic X's and O's guy, and he's just putting all these young guys in a position to succeed. These aren't even his guys, man. These are just dudes he got from the previous coach, and he's just being like, all right, we got a team full of athletes. Let's run and gun and play some great defense, and it works.
Chris Smith has been playing really well. Hit a big 3 to help against who? Let's see. They came back and beat. Was it Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona was the most recent one. Yeah.
And that was one that Nico Mannion really controlled the tempo the entire time. But again, credit to Cronin for just keeping his team in there the whole time, telling them, hey, you guys aren't out of this. And then they just went on a huge run, end of the second half, pulled it out. I believe it was, I'm not going to quote the score because I don't remember it exactly, but
won by like 6, yeah. That is amazing, though. I mean, how much he's done within this stretch especially. I mean, do you know a lot about how he deals with his players or anything?
He is an absolute psychopath, dude. He was ripping into dudes 100%. And I think these guys just responded well. I mean, if you have a team of guys who respond well to harsh criticism, they're not going to be rattled ever, man.
A lot of these guys are clearly tough.
Yeah, if you can handle a coach questioning
Nick
you
with
and all
the
your stuff,
Cincinnati mindset.
No, that's just a man up mindset, dude.
Maybe we need to bring a little bit of that up to Corvallis.
I don't know. We don't have the roster for that. But I think our guys aren't that tough.
Good. Switch gears to women's basketball, and then again at 5:45, we'll be joined by BeaversEdge.com managing editor Brenden Slaughter to talk some Oregon State spring football. Again, Oregon State's got a lot of buzz. Again, seems like this time every year we're always talking about the quarterback competition. This time it's Tristan Gebbia and Chance Nolan. Usually it was Jake Luton and blank. It's been, McMarion, Jake Luton, and Gebbia.
We should have picked McMarion.
One of them's at the combine, one of them's not.
One of them won a bowl game.
Yeah, that's true. No, credit to McMarion and everything he's done. Great job down there at Fresno State. Got a nice bowl dub for legendary Cal coach Jeff Tedford. So,
does Garrison have any eligibility?
No.
Okay, that sucks.
Anyways, Oregon State currently via the NCAA Selection Committee basketball poll, they would be the number 4 seed in the Greenville Regional, along with number 1 South Carolina, number 2 UCLA, number 3 North Carolina State. Currently in the Portland Regional, Oregon is number 1, UConn 2, Northwestern 3, DePaul 4. DePaul's the 16th seed in that poll. Oregon State is the 15th. So again, not really likely based on the results of the Pac-12 tournament to see Oregon State dropping down. But they would have to make quite a big jump to become, they would have to essentially become the best 3 seed to play. So that would mean moving up to number 9 if they wanted to be in that Portland Regional. Again, I see it. I really don't see the selection committee putting Oregon and Oregon State in the same area, especially given the home advantages. I think they really want to give that to the top seed. It's going to go to Oregon. And unfortunately for Oregon State, they're going to have to transfer. But the good news is, or travel, excuse me. The good news for Oregon State, they do get the first 2 games at home in Goss if they're a top 16 or in Gill. So that'll be good for Scott Rueck and co. Obviously they struggled last year as Boise State, 13 seed. They were, gave them a run for their money.
You
took them to
covered that,
overtime.
didn't you? Yeah.
First solo broadcast.
That was solo. That's very cool. How was that?
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it
was. I'm trying to remember who they played the second game. I don't know if it was like Creighton or somebody, but can't remember. But I remember the year before, either 1 or 2 years before they played, when the Oregon State was a 2 seed, they hosted Long Beach State, and Long Beach State, a 15, gave them a run for their money. So Oregon State kind of has this little history of being at home. That first game against a double-digit seed, they've struggled to kind of get that momentum going, and then they always seem to do well in the next one. I believe it was 2016 was when they were a 2 seed, because I think it was 2017 that they were a 6 seed, and they went into played at Tennessee, who was the 3rd seed, and knocked them off. That was part of their Elite 8 run. Mm-hmm. And then it was 2014-15 was their Final Four.
Yeah, when they won the Pac-12 tournament last also.
Right. And they were a 9 seed when they made the Final Four, I believe. So quite the tear again. Looking for some magic in March. Favorite time of the year? March Madness.
I've got to ask you guys, do you have a typical bracket you do? I mean, with a group?
No, we just...
I do one with my family.
I just make one up.
Yeah.
Like as the tournament's going, I'm like, oh, that guy.
I had that. Groups that you guys should join.
All right.
You invited me to hang out with some people?
No. Should we create an open...
Just online.
Okay, that's
Let's
chill.
start we'll do an open KBVR league on ESPN.
Get Brooks in this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll open it to anybody who wants to listen and go against Soren, Matt, and myself, Matthew Brooks. Probably throw Alex in there, our sports editor. I mean, we'll just get a group. We'll just get a KBVR group going. We'll do that one on ESPN.
That's a good idea.
That's great because I love making as many brackets as possible.
Same.
I've always got to pick one. Well, see, I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, well, I really like this. Right now, I think the favorite for just people ballparking through Vegas is Dayton is the one that's getting the most out of any team to make the Final
Kansas
Four.
Currently, I thought is
right. Yeah. But if you had to pick who would be your favorite team to lock in to make the Final Four, I don't know. Kansas had a good showing against Baylor. Baylor struggled a little bit. They were the number 1 seed for a while.
TCU also.
Then you've got teams like Gonzaga, who, well, obviously they in the same areas always play tight, but then they lost the game to BYU. BYU looks good. San Diego State lost their first game of the year, so all of a sudden, calendar turns from February to March, and all of a sudden, everything hits the fan. So, again, Oregon State, they play Washington State tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. from Las Vegas, Nevada. Again, previewed on Pac-12 Networks. Back-to-back games against Washington State. They most recently played them last Sunday. That was Senior Day. They won 73-58. And they've won 12 of the last meetings against the Cougars. On Sunday, Michaela Pivick scored 19 points. Slocum added 17. And Aaliyah Goodman scored 15. Nice time for Aaliyah Goodman to start getting hot from 3. She started to step her game up, had 5 triples in the game before against Washington.
She was outstanding, yeah.
I mean, she was sniping against Washington. Started at 4-4 from downtown. I mean, it was. I was calling the game with Andres, and it was awesome. So
and Chavez of Oregon snipped her of 6th player of the year.
Yeah.
I wasn't Super
that's because she was.
surprised,
I'm not surprised because
Yeah.
Leah was in the starting lineup for a good portion of it until
You're
they
right,
moved
you're
Kat
right.
Tudor back
Yeah.
in.
Scott, how dare you ruin her chances of winning the Sixth Man of the Year award?
So Oregon
Sixth
State
player.
moved up to number 14
She's
in the
woman.
AP.
I said woman.
It's sixth player of the year is the official title.
Semantics.
Beavers moved up 3 spots from 17 to 14 in the AP poll. Again, as we already mentioned, they are the 15th seed in the Oregon State in the tournament rankings. So Oregon State will be the 6th seed in the Pac-12 tournament. They finished the season tied with Arizona State for 5th in the conference. Sun Devils held the tiebreaker. This Thursday, tomorrow, will mark the first time since 2013 that Oregon State has had to play in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament.
Wow.
Beavers have earned a bye each of the prior 6 seasons.
I did not know that.
That's terrible. I mean, that's not good. Playing in a back-to-back, like this tournament's only
You
4
gotta
days.
win. So you got to win 4 in a row.
Yeah, you
instead
gotta
of 3 in a
win
row.
4 games in a row, which is really hard to do.
Against this conference, too.
This conference is absolutely loaded to the brim with talent. The only saving grace they really have is Oregon's on the other side of the bracket, but it really a lot of it's going to come down to how they defend the first game. That's going to set the tone. And if you're Scott Rueck, you really want to blow the doors off Wazoo, get your starters out as fast as possible, and maximize your rest because Stanford will be a close game if they beat Wazoo. That's not Stanford is a really talented team, and then if they have to play UCLA or USC, those are also 2 really talented teams.
P-League.
That's both
Freshman of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, like almost every team's beaten every team in the bracket, so it's just like it's a murderer's row.
So where do the Beavers, obviously, if they drop the first game against Washington State, I don't see it happening, but do you see them dropping out of the top 16 if they lose the first game?
It's for sure in play. It really depends.
It's possible.
It depends.
So
on how
if
the
you
other
win the
teams blow
first
them.
game against Washington State, I think that locks you in as a top 16 seed.
100%.
Yes.
Then you play Stanford. If you beat Stanford, you're moving on to the semis.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, theoretically, if you can beat Stanford, would that bump them up from a 4 to a 3? Or if you beat Stanford and UCLA, does that bump you up from a 3, or does that take you to a 2? I mean, what is the highest seed you can see them going
2.
without winning the championship? Because I think if they beat Oregon and win the championship, I think you could get I think you're still a 3. High 3, but a 3.
I think they top out at a 3,
right.
but I think they get the 3 if they make it past UCLA.
Yeah, I don't see them. Even if they play Stanford close, they might move up a little bit as a higher 4 seed, get a little bit closer to home.
Especially based on their record total. I think you're right there.
They do not have a great record, which is, I mean, again, this team has been
most
also
losses of
injury
anyone.
stricken to all heck.
The Pac-12 has just been beating each other up.
Yeah, this is the conference of cannibals. It has not been easy for any really team besides Oregon. And I really
it hasn't even been easy for them.
No,
They
they've
lost to
had-
Arizona State.
Yeah.
I mean, they were
I mean,
supposed to.
yeah.
People were talking about them going undefeated at the start of the year.
they had the talent to do it. But yeah, I mean, there's just, the way the ball bounces. It's really hard to come out and play to your maximum potential and beat a team like 40 times a year. That is extremely difficult. You don't really see undefeated basketball teams and men's or women's unless you have like 2010 Kentucky with Anthony Davis and all those dudes.
Yeah.
So
Difficult to win 3 in a row against one team in a year also.
Oh, that's also
if
the
they
hardest
play
thing in basketball.
Stanford.
it's hard to win 3, let alone 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Even though if Washington State obviously isn't the toughest of games.
I think they'll take care of business as we
Wear
all
and tear.
assume. But
Yeah.
And
Stanford, I have a
they're
good
losing-
feeling if they end up playing Stanford in the second game.
And they have weak depth.
Yeah.
No Corsdale, no Brown. That means you're leaning on Maddie Washington, Patricia Morris, and Taylor Jones.
Which they did in their last matchup
Yeah.
against them and was a close
That's
game.
not
Right, but I'm
the
saying
worst
you got to
thing.
let them play a high load of minutes for 4 straight days
Of
if you
course.
want to win that tournament. I mean,
Instead of
honestly,
managing.
I just really don't see it happen. I could see them giving first win against Washington State, a good game against Stanford. If they win that, I think it's going to be really hard to win back-to-back games against top 4 tournament quality teams,
Yeah.
let alone make a run all the way through.
Yeah,
Because you look at Oregon's path, they're going to get either Washington or Utah for their second game. So then they'd have to beat either Cal, ASU, or Arizona. Excuse me. If ASU got against Oregon, I mean, credit again to Arizona. They're no slacker
A
either.
couple of physical teams.
But
there.
ASU has had
Both Arizona's.
the Ducks number earlier. But regardless, that gives the fact that Oregon doesn't have to play Stanford or UCLA both teams that they dominated.
Mm-hmm.
The one team that they lost to in the Pac-12 is right there. So again, a couple minutes coming up, we'll have Brenden Slaughter on to talk some spring football. Last thoughts on women's basketball going into this. Oregon State's Michaela Pivic, all Pac-12, Pac-12 defensive team, Pac-12 Scholar Athlete of the Year. Destiny Slocum, all Pac-12 honoree this season. And last year, again, Scott Ruick, semifinalist for the Naismith Coach of the Year. Great guy, great head coach. They've got this, kind of a makeshift team with a lack in the front court depth. But how about freshman Taylor Jones, Pac-12 all-freshman team, honorable mention all Pac-12, and all Pac-12 defensive team, all in her first season at Oregon State. And I think she's probably one of the biggest reasons that they're still as competitive as they are this year.
100%. She is a really, really, really high-level finisher for a freshman at this level. I mean, they were able to throw it down to her a lot and just have her get a quick bucket when the offense was sputtering. The defense wasn't, it was good, but it could be a lot better. She needs to work on getting more physical in the post and rebounding better. But for a freshman, blows the doors off of expectations. She's going to run this conference for the next 3 years.
Yeah, and then again, her blocks and just are going to keep on developing because all Pac-12 defensive team as a freshman is pretty difficult. She got 3 Pac-12 Freshman of the Week honors this season. Only player in OSU history to take the honor 3 times. Only players to take the honor multiple times. Michaela Pivic, Sydney Weiss, Jamie Weisner.
Pretty good company.
Yeah.
Pretty good company.
Yeah, she's got a really good head start on becoming an absolute legend in the women's hoop game at Oregon State.
That is true. So, again, Taylor Jones, credit her as a freshman. Aaliyah Goodman, Pac-12 Defensive Honorable Mention this year. She's stepped up her game as of late. Kat Tudor still looking to get back on track. So, kind of been, lacking. Not lacking per se, but just I don't know if the confidence is there. I mean, the flow, the rhythm, having to sit out that last half of last year and then the first half of this year, and it's just difficult to get right back into it. She was 21st in the nation in 3-point percentage last year at the time of her injury, and now she's a little bit lower. I believe I wanted to say she was in the 42, 43, 44% range last year, and then now she's shooting around 39, which isn't terrible by any means at all, but by her standards. So, and then a big part, Maddie Washington getting the start for the last 7 games. Has gotten 20 minutes at least in those games. Her scored 10 points last Sunday at California, including when she had 4 straight baskets in the third quarter when Scott Ruick challenged his team, not named Slocum, Pivic, or Jones, to get some buckets. They're going to have to get a little bit more contributions from Jasmine Simmons and Patricia Morris coming off the bench. And Janessa Thorope has been getting thrown in there a little bit. She's good on defense. Offense could get better, but she's had 8 steals in a game before.
Yeah, all you got to ask for is hustle, man. Patricia Morris is going to be a key factor in them making a deep tournament run. I think she's the X factor. I would not be surprised to see her take 20 minutes or more in a game or two if they make it that far, just because being that monstrously huge is such a disruptor on both sides of the ball for the opposing team. And she's the secret. I think she's a big key for them in making the NCAA run as well.
All right. So, again, tomorrow, Pac-12 Network, 8:30 p.m. That'll be 6th-ranked Oregon State against 11th-ranked Washington State. Going to go ahead and take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll have BeaversEdge.com managing editor Brenden Slaughter to talk Oregon State spring football. Keep it locked for the last portion of our show right here on the Beaver Sports Radio Show on KBVR, Corvallis.
Hello, I'm Colin Craven, heir to Misselthwaite Manor. I order you to come to OSU's production of the musical The Secret Garden. The show is being done in collaboration between OSU Theatre and the music department. Performances will be February 28th and 29th and March 6th and 7th at 7:30 p.m. and also March 1st and 8th at 2 o'clock p.m. Tickets are available on the OSU Theatre website. If you don't come, I'll tell my father about you.
Accuracy, relevancy, respect. These are the characteristics the Daily Barometer strives to achieve in its coverage every day. Since 1896, the student-run newspaper on campus has been utilizing the skills of Oregon State University students to start conversations which are open to all voices. The Barrow aims to create reciprocal relationships with communities on campus, seeking to make real change. To get involved with the Barrow, visit orangemedianetwork.com and click the Get Involved tab.
Hey, you're tuned in to KBVR FM, Oregon State's student-run, student-operated radio station.
The number one place for people with a passion for music to come and get together and share that passion with the world.
Whoa, the whole world.
The whole world.
Yeah, hopefully they're listening to something else.
Should I cancel my audition for American Idol?
You might want to think about it.
At Beaver's Digest, our publication is divided into 3 sections: Create, Experience, and #GoBeavs. In Create, the focus is on building a creative and healthy lifestyle. The Experience section is where BD highlights key student figures in hopes to elevate their voices in the greater Corvallis community. The 3rd section, #GoBeavs, is where we seek to cover anything OSU sports or spirit related. You can check out our latest issue on stands around campus now.
Hi, I'm Ed Ray, president of Oregon State University, and you are listening to 88.7 KBVR Corvallis, your place for college radio, by the students, for the students.
Back here on the Beaver Sports Radio Show again. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Mitchell Mondry, joined by Matt Volman, Soren Carr. Hoping to have Brenden Slaughter go ahead and join us. If not, we'll get him on next week for sure, or whenever the next time we have show. Still in lieu, waiting for next week, figuring out some scheduling stuff. But again, we got finals coming up. Student radio, student comes first.
Always.
Okay.
All right, mister, I just had a big test this morning.
It was a quiz, dude. Chill.
Anyways, so we got Oregon State football. They got spring practice starting up this week for Oregon State. Quarterback battle. Tristan Jebbia, I think it's going to be named, maybe not named the starter, but he definitely has the leg up in the competition, knows the offense, has been in the system, has got a lot done with that. And so, you know, Oregon State, they've got a lot of talent, a lot of continuity. They've maintained, over Smith's tenure, 9 of the 10 coaches, and they've maintained all 10 position coaches from last year to this year. Only new one was Blue Adams, coming on over from South Florida after Greg Burns left for USC. I believe Greg Burns left USC already. And
Flex.
So, regardless, go ahead.
I think we should pound the rock this year.
Yeah.
I think.
See Jamar time got a hand time 4.4140.
That's filthy.
The Beaver Combine.
That is disgusting.
Wow.
He's a big dude, and this is going to be the season where he just puts up all the yards, scores all the touchdowns, and going to be completely honest, Jebbia is not that great at throwing the football. He's a mobile dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Which one? Yeah.
He's a pretty mobile dude, but he's not the most complete QB yet. And there's nothing that helps a QB out more than a running back who can just get yards.
Yeah.
And Jamar is that dude who just puts his shoulder down. He can run over you. He can run around you. He can jump over you. The dude's an athlete, can make plays, and I think he will be our best player.
So I saw an interview with new quarterback from Saddleback Community College, Chance Nolan, transferring in. He's got a lot of speed and everything. But one of the questions for him was, how are you impressed with the talent level around at Oregon State? And he said, got a lot of guys. It's impressive to throw to, a bunch of D1 guys. But he also mentioned the speed. How about these 40 times? Hand time 40s, when they did their Beaver Combine. Wide receiver Anthony Gold, 4.35. Trey Lowe, running back, the transfer from Washington, 4.35. Cornerback Marcus Harris on the defensive side, 4.35. You got Champ Fleming clocked to 4.36. Caleb Hayes, cornerback, 4.39. Jamar 4.43. Zariah Beeson, incoming freshman receiver, 4.45. And Deshaun Wright 4.45. You can probably, those are pretty. They're hand times, so they're obviously not maybe that fast, but still, the fact that you can run a hand time 4.35 40, incredible.
We got a
That's
track
blazing
team.
speed.
We got a track team. Let's start one up, Oregon State. You know,
Like the Chiefs receivers, just the.
Let's hope they're as good as them. Being fast is a good part of the game, but let's hope they can make plays as well.
So Anthony Gold, receiver from, I believe it was South Salem High School. I know he's from Salem. 11 feet 1.75 inches on his broad jump.
That's far.
That's really far, yeah.
They threw him in the vertical 37.0. His pro agility 4.12.
Pretty good.
This kid's athletic.
Yeah.
Wow. Where
One
in
of the
Salem
late
is he from?
additions, I want to say South Salem High School. But still, this is one of those guys that Smith raved about his speed coming into this. I mean, he was not a highly recruited guy, but at the same time, for Oregon State, I mean, he was a really good get for him. I don't think Josiah Irish, who clocked the fast 40 time last year, I don't think he ran. I don't think Trevon Bradford ran. But again, just the speed, it's going to be a lot different for their offense. They're going to, I believe, get Lindgren, he's going to start to show his true colors a little bit more because he likes the motions. He likes the speed sweeps. He likes to get all the defense moving one way and then to run back the other way. He likes to roll out and run RPOs, run read options. I mean, that's one of the things that bugs me too is when the people who don't know the difference between a read option and an RPO. So an RPO is a run-pass option where the quarterback you can either hand it off or throw the ball, and then you've got somebody who's the read option, which is actually a design run for the quarterback if it's there. So that's just not something you really saw. I think Jake Luton ran the read option every once in a while where he was able to pull it. But again, I mean, Oregon State's going to have a lot of talent, a lot of speed on offense. And again, looking forward to seeing what this team can put together in spring camp because Jonathan Smith mentioned it. This is where the team starts really coming together, really building for the next season. It really starts in spring camp because that's when you're implementing a lot of your new stuff. Offensively, defensively, you're getting to know your coaches better. If you're incoming as a freshman, you're getting to know your teammates. I mean, and one of the biggest things for the Oregon State is credit to their strength and conditioning coach, Mike McDonald. Everything you hear is positive about that guy. Does an excellent job with the off-season workout programs. I mean, these guys are getting in great shape. And that was one of the guys Hamilcar Rashid gave the biggest credit to last year to help make his jump, along with outside linebacker coach and DC Tim Tibesar.
He's got the juice.
Yeah. I saw the nice shout out from Kyrie Fisher, Arkansas transfer. He said, if you want to come to Oregon State and get coached by somebody who's hands-on and knows the position well, Coach Trent Bray, one of the best in the biz.
We should not be
Oregon State linebacker. I mean, Oregon State's going to come back to, I think they're going to come back around to being a linebacker U.
That would be cool, but I think we need to keep our good coaches on the DL. We don't need them getting poached.
Well, here's the thing, that they all got pay raises for this year. Smith got a new contract, got a contract extension.
We still pay everyone so much less than everyone else.
Yeah. But that's still, I mean, they all got, elevating not only your pay raise, then you get more bonus incentives. You also got some title boosts, for some guys. Running back coach Michael Petrie elevated to head recruiter. He's been one of those guys. He got Jamar. He got Isaiah Newell from Walnut Creek coming up.
Shout out East Bay.
So a lot of good stuff going around Oregon State football. It's going to be fun next season. Are you sad I'm not around to see it? I'll still still watch it. Matt will be here. Matt will represent at the game.
Oh yeah, you'll keep covering. You'll be the entertainer.
Keep it locked down.
Covering with the
Hey, wait, was the receiver Anthony Gold?
Yeah.
West Salem. Okay.
West Salem.
That's always a solid football program.
Hey, Mitchell.
He does look athletic. Yeah.
What's my Preston Jones update looking like?
I don't have a whole lot. He started in left field the other day.
There we go.
So,
kid is a stud. One of the fastest players in Division I college baseball. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
All right.
Absolute speedster.
So, I guess Brenden Slaughter got caught up a little bit at work. We'll have him on for 5 minutes. It's always good to talk to him for a second.
Is he calling?
He's about to. So,
I was about to say he's
a little late on the scheduling, but at the same time, still talking Oregon State football right here on KBVR.
There it is.
The Slaughter phone.
Ooh. All right. We'll get Slaughter hooked up here really quick. Hey, Brenden, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm in now.
Oh, all right. You're live on KBVR Corvallis with Matt Bowman, Soren, Carr, and myself. Brenden, we were just talking a little bit. Again, Brenden Slaughter, managing editor, beaversedge.com. We were just talking a little bit about the impressive Beaver Combine from Anthony Gold and all the speed. I watched your interview with Chance Nolan again yesterday, and that was one of the things that stood out to me was that he said, I got all these D1 receivers, and they're fast.
No, dude. I mean, honestly, again, thanks for having me on the show, guys. Good to catch up with all you guys. Hope everything's going well down in Corvo. You mentioned Anthony Gould. He was one of my guys that was really impressive to me yesterday. Not only is he fast, but his hands have really improved, too. He made a couple really nice plays on the sideline where he's also able to toe tap as well. I think expectations for him are definitely moving up because the coaching staff really likes him, and he's backing it up with strong play.
One of those guys we mentioned, it's got a lot of speed on the Oregon State, that didn't really run in the combine, Josiah Irish. We were also talking, I just want to get your thoughts on the offense because this is really what Brian Lindgren's whole system is about, having speed, getting motion going, and also having a mobile quarterback to go along with that.
Yeah, from day one, I kind of wrote about this in some of the stuff on Beaver's Edge. I would say the defense had the edge on the offense in day one. I was taken back a little bit by how good the defense was. Maybe that's a symptom of the offensive line kind of still being a bit of a musical chairs type thing right now with a lot of new guys subbing in and out that haven't had a lot of experience. But I have to say the defensive line and linebackers really got after the offense yesterday.
Well, I saw Kyrie Fisher shout out for Coach Trent Bray on Twitter. I mean, always when you have kind words like that from not only just on the field, but when you post to Twitter and you say, hey, if you want to get coached up by some of the best, you come to Oregon State, Trent Bray, one of the best in the biz. I mean, and then you saw Elo Aiden also giving a shout out to Lei Siuanoa. I mean, Jonathan Smith has put together a great staff, maintained continuity. He's got 10 out of 10 guys coming back from last year, 9 out of 10 from when he originally started. I mean, you got to give Smitty some credit here for holding this staff together.
Well, it was completely in Jonathan Smith's favor. You notice Trent Bray got a title added to his I believe he's now an associate head coach as well. That's when he got part of the staff promotions just before spring started. And Coach Smith knows what he's doing. Trent Bray, I've been saying it for a long time. You're talking about a guy that was a defensive coordinator at Nebraska under Mike Riley and then was interim head coach, actually, I believe, the last game or two for the Cornhuskers. He is maybe one of the most overqualified position coaches in the country right now, and I think he will be a defensive coordinator sooner than later. And, I have nothing but good things to say about him. His intensity and attention to detail when it comes to coaching linebackers is impressive. One of the biggest memories that sticks with me is when he was first getting started in his coaching ranks. He was coaching with Dennis Erickson down at Arizona State. And at the time, he was coaching up Vontaze Burfict, who was, as we all know, in college, one of the most dominant linebackers we've seen in some time.
One of the greatest NFL players.
Absolutely. And I remember watching him play and being like, wow, Trent Bray's coaching this guy up. And at the time, Trent Bray was just a couple years removed from playing. And I was like, the ceiling for this guy is going to be big. So having him on staff, in addition to the rest of that talented defensive staff, it's a lot of good coaching experience. And that's why I think the Beavs are primed to be I'm going to tread lightly, but say a very, very solid defensive group this year.
All right, Brenden, we're just about out of time. We got one more question from Matt over here, though.
Slaughter, who's an under-the-radar impact player that you can see having a great season?
Offense or defense?
Either side of the ball. Your favorite?
Ooh, underrated guy. Offense, I'm going to have to go with Trey Lowe. He transferred from Washington. We're still waiting to hear if he's going to be immediately eligible. But watching him yesterday, they're going to be able to do some real things with him as kind of a slot back receiver, and he's really fast too. Defensively, it's a little tough to say with how many guys they got right now, but I'm really liking what I was seeing out of Jaden Grant yesterday in practice. He was starting at one of the safety spots with David Morris, and he looked real at home. He actually intercepted Tristan Gebbia yesterday.
Ooh.
And, he's a guy that we've known has been really talented, got great bloodline from his dad, Brian Grant, obviously playing for the Trailblazers for many years. So I think this could be his breakout year, too.
Saucy picks. Thank you, Brenden.
All right, Brenden, we're going to have to let you go. We'll get you on another show sooner, especially as spring practice continues on. As always, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks, fellas. Enjoy the time and anytime.
Love you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in to this week's edition of the Beaver Sports Radio Show. Always listen to KBVR Wednesdays at 5 o'clock p.m. Even if we're not on, it's going to be entertaining. As always.
Mostly if we're on.
Thanks, Matt. Really needed that. All
You're
right,
welcome.
for Soren, Carr, Matt Vullen, my name is Mitchell Monge. Be sure to keep it locked to KBVR Corvallis for everything Beaver Sports. We got basketball tomorrow, 6 p.m., KBVR and KBVR.com/listen. Saturday, it'll be Matt and myself. California, 1:30, it's senior day. Trey Stinkle's last day game from Gill Coliseum. As always, keep it locked to KBVR Corvallis and have a great afternoon.